call to order the special board meeting 9/16/2024 at 3 p.m. Welcome. Roll call. Mr. Mark Anderson.
Absent.
Mr. Harry Block.
Here.
Mr. Bruce Mandrek.
Absent.
Mr. Jack Turner.
Present.
Lily Campbell, present. We do have 2 members that are absent, but we do have a quorum to do business this afternoon. Thank you for those who are here for our special meeting. We are so glad to see you, and thank you, each of you, for being here. So we shall continue on with our agenda. Do we have any public comments?
We have no public comments at this time.
No public comments at this time. We are now moving to consent agenda. Superintendent, do you have anything that you want to talk to us very briefly?
Nothing tonight on the consent agenda. We do have a couple of opportunities, once again, for our students. One, to do a field trip to Yosemite National Park, and then our Sierra Experience Lodge. Both are for our SAVA program. We have the lease renewal for Epic as presented, and then we have our board minutes. So
Okay.
we're happy to take any questions.
Any questions on any of the consent agenda items as we get ready to accept? All right, so the consent agenda items for tonight are adoption of the GCC board meeting minutes 9/10/24, lease renewal empowering possibility international charter Epic 2945 Ramco Street, West Sacramento, SAVA overnight field trip to Yosemite National Park, and it will be 10/14 to 10/17/2024. And then another one, SAVA overnight field trip, Sierra Experience Lodge, and that will be on the 8th, October the 8th and October the 11th. Those are the items for the consent agenda. I
Move
will
approval.
Move approval by Mr. Turner,
Second.
second by Mr. Block. Any discussion on those items? Questions, comments, anything on those items? Hearing none, roll call. Mr. Harry Block,
Yes.
Mr. Jack Turner,
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. So it is moved with the quorum. Okay. And so with that, we are here now for our business items, which is why this special meeting. 2023-24 unaudit actuals. And
Yes. So thank you, Board, Madam President, members of the Board, for, first of all, thank you for taking the time to join us tonight for our special board meeting. I definitely want to take this opportunity before Elmira gets ready to present to say that today's happening has really nothing to do with Elmira and her team. We ran into some struggles with our SELPA portal, and so that caused us to have this very brief delay, but definitely want to affirm Elmira and her team because it was very stressful dealing with that delay, but I think they managed it well and got us to this moment. So I just wanted to lead up to say that tonight's special meeting really is not because of anything that Elmira or her team did, but because of the unavoidable work of our SELPA.
okay.
Yes, thank you, Superintendent Sample. Good afternoon, President Campbell and Board Trustees, Mr. Block and Mr. Turner. I am here to present the unaudited actuals, and before I get started, I want to acknowledge my team, Director Valerie Rogers, that's here with us, Cindy Ponikvar, Andrew Gibson, and Yvonne Grazer, and Lillian Matu for helping get all this work done, completed, teed up, dotted, to ensure that we were ready for today. Like Superintendent Sample explained, we had some hiccups with not only the Eldorado SELPA platform, we then had SACS issues too. So there's different softwares that we use to ensure that we close our books and that we do reporting. But luckily, we were able to push it out till today, and we are ready for you guys to review and to be able to submit to our authorizers. So I'll go ahead and get started. Okay, so the background and purpose of this meeting is to just really go over the financial statements to show the actual financial results from the previous year, meaning 23-24. We are currently in 24-25, so it's prior year unaudited that shows your revenue, your expenses, and your financial position, so your balance sheet entries. It requires to be submitted to our oversight districts, and then to our county office of education, and then it finally goes to CDE, or California Department of Education. We will have audited financials at December 15th is the deadline for those. So for that, we have to have audit firm come in, review our financials, and then that would turn it into an audited financials. So we'll present those to you in January timeframe. Okay, so the first component we'll go over is our revenues. We have 82.7 in LCFF revenue compared to estimated actuals were 82.3. So the difference between those two numbers is the P2 corrections that were made after P2 submissions. So that's why there is a shift there. In our federal revenue compliance, there was less spending on unearned revenue programs, which caused additional carryover for 24-25. It wasn't a whole lot. It was only $23,500 across the organizations, 9 LEAs. The state revenue decreased from estimated actuals due to the golden pathways that was supposed to be awarded in 23-24. The state decided to hold off on that allocation, and as of right now, it states on the CDE webpage that's been revoked or pulled back. There has been conversations lately that I've been aware of that potentially it might come back in 24-25, but we will make sure not to account for those dollars until we know for sure that we have an award letter. So we did not account for it in our unaudited actuals. It is included in our estimated actuals. That is the difference of the 971. Now, in our local revenue, you see that we have an increase from estimated actuals, and that is to account for the gains in the investment account that's held outside of our county treasury. So that is part of that calculation. We also did some adjustments to the E-rate. So we get about 85% to 90% of reimbursed services through Comcast, Consolidated App, et cetera, for E-rate. And then also with the P2 corrections, it changed our special education allocations just slightly. So that's what those numbers are made up of. The revenue components, this is just a graph to kind of show you that we get the bulk of our money through our ADA. So LCFF is really driven by our attendance and our enrollment. So that is 72% of our revenues come from that. We get 6% to federal, so that's the smallest bucket of the four. And then we have other state. Right now it's at 13%, and that is all the special programs that they said they weren't bringing back categoricals, but they're starting to creep back up. And then lastly, our other local is 9%. That's actually higher than most years, and I'll kind of go over that in our presentation. So our next slide is all our expenditures. Certificated and classified salaries were off less than 1%. And that is really just due to what we budgeted for summer school, for hourly, any unfilled positions potentially that ended early or never got filled through the end of the year. Those are those cost savings. The benefit line is associated directly with certificated and classified salaries. In addition, you have STRS and PERS salaries, or salaries that are not eligible for STRS and PERS. So if you're under certain hourly range, or if you're just considered hourly, sometimes you are not eligible. If you're an intern, student worker, sometimes those are not eligible for PERS and STIR. So that is where the savings are in those three categories. And then we come to books and supplies. There were some savings in instructional textbooks, non-capital equipment, and in many of these revenue streams, they roll over. So a lot of the funding in ELOP and lottery roll over for the next year for spending. So as we have bigger curriculum purchases, then we'll have that carryover money to be able to purchase them. The services and other operating expenditures, we also found some savings from the summer program vendors that we have budgeted for ELOP that we saw savings for in this category. So 385 across our organization. Capital outlay, that one had the biggest variance of 1.4 million. This is really, the biggest chunk in this category is the CalFit building, or the Dudley C building for our fifth graders for COA Elementary. That project didn't finalize till the end of July or August, right before school started. So right at the first week of August. So those expenses will roll over. That 1.4 is anticipated to be spent in the 24-25 year. And then lastly, we have other outgo, which is your debt and interest line. For the most part, it's only been futures and HLA that have had debt and interest payments. We did expand the central office and took out a 10-year loan with McClellan, and that is the addition that you're seeing there of 9,276. So that is payments, I believe, from February through June. We will have a full year's worth this year. And that's across all sites, so it's based on CBED's percentage that we're charging each individual LEA. So next is just the breakdown of expense composition. So we have 63% salary and benefits, 5% of supplies, 23% for services, 8%, does that say 8%? Yeah, 8% capital outlay, and 1% other outgo. So I also really want to point out that we do not have a full facilities department. We do not have a full technology department, and we don't have a full transportation department. Those are all things that we service out, and that is why our calculations for salary and benefits not higher. So, for example, our technology is done through Twin Rivers Unified, and that is why you don't see, 8 to 10 positions in technology, is because we service our technology needs through Twin Rivers. Transportation, same thing. We don't have our own buses, so we don't pay our bus drivers or paraeducators that sometimes ride with bus drivers. We contract with Michael's Transportation, with Robles School District, to be able to transport our children back and forth. So just wanted to kind of point that out so you understand why our percentage is not higher. And this slide, this one was created by our Director of Business Services, Ms. Valerie Rogers. It's our profit loss statement by site. So it basically tells you your first line is your revenue, second line is your expenses, your third line is net expense increase or decrease. So did we have a profit or a loss? And for the most part, all our sites had a profit, for the exception of COA and GIS, and that is because they had the CalFit, COA had the CalFit payout, so we paid partial of the COA expansion at the CalFit through that resource, or through that LEA, and then for GIS, we paid out $2 million to San Juan Unified for the expansion that is ongoing with that particular site. So for the most part, we've stayed within our means in terms of expenditures to revenue to expenditures. It shows you our beginning fund balance, and then it shows you what our ending fund balance. It's basically picking up the net increase, decrease to the beginning fund balance to give you a new ending fund balance. And then it shows you what categories are set aside. So we have non-spendables, that's your prepaids, and your revolving account. And then the next three categories are facility reserves. That has to have a minimum of 15%, 10% for reserve for sustainability, and 5% for economic uncertainty. So we have it all committed to different categories. Okay. Finally, our fund balance. So like I said, the ending fund balance is 78.7. 72.7 was our beginning balance. We had an increase of 5.9, and now it brings our balance to 78.7. And then below are the different categories of how much set aside we have. Restricted 12.5 is restricted resources. That's all the federal, state, local resources that you can't touch for unrestricted purposes. So of that 78, 12.5 is you basically can't touch it for the set-asides below. And then you have the non-spendables. Like I said, it's your prepaids and your revolving. And then you have your facility set aside. We are currently at 45%. Last year, I believe, was 43%. And then we have our reserve for sustainability. We're maintaining the 10% and reserve for economic uncertainty at 5%. And that makes up your 78.7 of ending fund balance. Okay. And lastly, just summary next steps. So like I mentioned earlier, September 2024, we will have our auditors here. It's a little earlier than usual, but they will be here to come and review the closing of the books, make any adjustments if they see so fit, and report back out in January to all you for approval. And then that will be our final audited actuals. In October, we're going to start having our budget meetings also for 24-25. We will distribute any carryover that was not distributed beforehand. We will discuss site needs, site plans, multi-year overview, impacts of the next couple years coming. And then in December, we will be back to present you with first interim. I will entertain any questions.
Okay, yes. Okay, Mr. Turner?
Omar, I want you to, really very clear, very informative. Please thank your staff as you did. And once again, it's a very readable, you can understand the budget and the presentation of the material. Just a couple of questions. Do we need to take any action now so we don't have that in the future? Issues with software as we did this? Is there anything we can do
I believe
to
that
avoid this issue?
they're creating a group to be able to, with different charters. Am I correct?
Yes, the beta group.
Yeah, they're doing a beta group to be able to ensure that we don't have this issue next year. So we will be actively participating in this group with the El Dorado SELPA to be able to make sure that they're ready for next year. So I think this has been the second year they've had problems, correct? So it's the second year that we've had issues with this program. And so they are creating a user group to be able to mitigate this issue moving forward.
And to add to what Elmira just shared, I have the opportunity to sit on the SELPA CEO Council, and this was one of the items that we brought up for our next CEO meeting, was to say, not only did it impact us, but it also impacted other charters. So I think the SELPA will be hearing quite a bit from this group about our concerns around this.
Jason, do you know how many SELPAs or how many charters are within the SELPA? I want to say it's in the hundreds.
About to say, yeah, it's across the state, so it's not just us. I was looking.
Yeah, not that I don't like
about
coming to
that.
board meetings, it's just that we could do it on a regular basis.
Definitely understandable.
Another question, at our revenue in 23-24, 6% of it was federal funding.
Yes.
What's your estimate that that's going to drop down to for 24-25?
I think there is going to be not a huge drop, but a little bit of a drop. I would say that we're going to be in the 4 to 5% next year. So the ESSER dollars have expired out, so we've spent all of those dollars. And so that allocation will drop out in the next year. And I don't anticipate any more federal one-time dollars, so, yeah.
Okay. I appreciate your explanation on the salaries, that we contract out a number of activities that many school districts have to fund within their budget. So it's in the budget, it's just not under salaries. But I'd still like to point out that at 63%, even if you look at what we contract out, we still are, I guess fortunately, at least it gives us some flexibility, below the significant amount most school districts have to spend on salaries, which really limits their ability to almost do anything else in their operating procedures. I think in all my years in education, which I won't enumerate the number, I don't think I've ever seen it where the fringe benefit package is now larger, significantly larger than what we spend on classified staff. I just want to emphasize what you have emphasized. The benefits issue is going to be one that is going to be an ongoing, I'm going to say a crisis eventually for charters and school districts, because it is a fund that we have to somehow have revenue for. And I don't know if the state is going to backfill that or not. But once again, thank you very, very much. I think, just again, a very fine job on the budget.
Thank you.
Are you ready? Okay.
Just have number one, for kids that lose books and stuff, do we charge them for that? I know we charge for
That's
that.
a good question. I'm not really sure. I think some schools might charge for lost, stolen books. Right?
Okay.
You want to?
Yeah, so I'm going to ask Assistant Superintendent Turcoy to chime in on that for what we do.
Thank you, Mr. Block. We do ask the family and show them how much we paid for the bill. We do ask them to pay. We do not force them to. If they have a hardship, they can request not to pay for the book. But yes, we do show them how much the book costs and ask for some accountability for them.
Okay. Yeah, that's good, because I'm just saying, because kids will throw away stuff, you know that. So I have some too, I know. Something called unspent allocation. What was those?
Unspent, where,
Okay.
what page is that?
I think it might be page 10. I'm not sure.
Is it towards the
It
end?
was somewhere, something about some unspent allocation.
Non-spendables, maybe?
Yeah.
Non-spendables are the revolving cash, so that's kept outside of the county treasury. So that is when we have to cut a check. Let's say somebody resigns today, we need to turn around, 24 hours? Not really sure what the labor law states, but we have to be able to cut them a check, and we can't wait for the county treasurer to cut a check. So we have a revolving cash account that we cut checks through for these type of emergencies. And prepaid expenditures are things that, for example, we might pay a 24-25 software licensing in June, but it's really for the 24-25 year. So that's what the non-spendables are.
Okay.
Basically, they're set aside. You can't really, it's already spent dollars, if you will.
So, and I was looking at COLA, that we get COLA for all of these different things, huh?
We got COLA of 8.22 this year, yeah, for 23-24. But that has come down to 1.07 for the 24-25 year.
Okay, because I knew that was high. I just said 8.22, and that's what I was just wondering. Okay, let's see what else I had down. I think that's about it. There was a few other little things, but that's why I let Jack go first.
I'm glad, it was Jack mentioned this 63% salary and benefits, and you also stated that it's not as high as many of the districts. So I'm very glad that that was brought out, because it is. So we're doing okay from that standpoint. We really are. First of all, I want to thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you and your team for this information. That's good stuff, and it's very easy to understand.
Good.
So I think that's why we really don't have a lot of questions, because we can read it and see it and understand exactly what the budget looks like. So thank you so very, very much. Anything else? Anything, Mr. Superintendent?
Nothing else, Madam President, other than, again, just want to affirm Elmira and her team for a lot of hard work and really helping us continue to be a fiscally strong organization. So thank you for that.
And now the important part is we need to have a vote for the next one.
I move approval.
Move approval?
Second.
Second. Any other discussion? Any other discussion? Hearing none. Roll call. Mr. Harry Block?
Yes.
Mr. Jack Turner?
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. So the item has been approved unanimously with those members, and we do have a quorum. So thank you again. Our accolades to all of you who is here, and we appreciate the hard work that you have done to make this happen. Thank you so very, very much. We are doing what we need to do to continue with our business of the organization. All right, we have another item, and that item is resolution to reallocate income for fiscal year 2023-24, and that is a special ed allocation. So you want to say?
Yes, I'll
anything?
just speak a little bit on
Okay.
it. So the reallocation, being part of the El Dorado SELPA, allows us to reallocate within our LEAs. And so we maximize this flexibility to be able to cover other sites that are spending more, and also align that with the maintenance of effort and ensure that we're not overstating our base, et cetera. So that's what this document is.
All right. Thank you. We need a motion, and this is a resolution, to approve the reallocation. May,
So moved.
so move, thank you.
Second.
All right, it's been moved in second to approve the reallocation of the budget. Okay, any other discussion, comments, questions? Anything? Hearing none? Roll call. Mr. Harry Block?
Yes.
Mr. Jack Turner?
Yes.
Lily Campbell, yes. So this item has been approved by the quorum. Thank you so much. All right. Well. None? All right. And again, thank all of you who came. Thank you for the time that you put in. We really, really appreciate it so that we can get this item closed in the books. Okay, our next board meeting,
October 15th?
October 15th, 4:45, regular time. Any other closing comments?
Just want to remind the board that on tomorrow night, we will be at Twin Rivers Unified for their public hearing on Futures High School and Higher Learning for their renewals. And so really excited about that. Our staff and principals have been getting prepared and ready, and someone's zipping out there. But just want to say tomorrow at at Twin Rivers Unified District Office, I believe the meeting starts at 6:30?
6:30.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the organization? Any other comments, board members? All right, hearing none, seeing no hands, I will entertain a motion for adjournment.
I so move.
Second, all in favor? Aye. The ayes have it. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you.